I've just spent £30,000 on this insane networking setup. You're not going to believe some of the stuff that we've installed in here, and we fitted it all ourselves. So in this video, we're going to do a deep dive into all of this crazy tech that's gone into this network rack and why we've chosen to spend so much money on such great gear. Thanks to Ugreen for sponsoring today's video. More about that later. So this is the termination RJ45 end on this yellow Cat 6, which for our CCTV cameras. So just prepping these, getting the bases mounted, getting all the ends made off, ready to connect into the MVR at the other end. So this is the switches that we've chosen, the UniFi 8-way PoE Pro switch. It might be a bit overkill for what we need now, but what it allows us to do is use an SFP port here for fiber. So we can have fiber in from the main switch, and that means we've got super fast connection for every desk here. So if we're editing here, we've got super fast connection. If we're uploading footage, we've got super fast connection. But even just for general use for everyone, we've got the fastest internet connection possible. So I'm going to stick this under the desk and then start connecting everything in. It's quite nice. They've got like this little locking thing. So you put the power cable in, and you actually lock it, and it locks into place, you know, these little details. Yeah. It's really nice. So we're putting this here to give a bit of airflow around it. I did originally think about putting it in the cupboard, but I thought, you know what, it's gonna get hot because you're gonna get books piled up in front of it and stuff like that. So let's just keep it here. It's not gonna be in the way of anything. And for cable management, it means we can really neatly run all of our data cables and swoop in. We can have a little bit of cable sock around them and stuff like that to just keep everything neat and protected. At Artisan HQ, we deal with a ton of data, from 4K video footage to design files and so much more. We need somewhere to store our files safely, and that's where this comes in. I've run this YouTube channel now for 7 years. I've got 7 years of precious video footage that I need to store. And this Ugreen NAS can store up to 120 terabytes of files. That's the equivalent of 80,000 movies or 40 million photos, all in this little box. With all of the valuable footage and files that we need to protect, we wanted to have an on-site and an off-site backup here. So here on site, we've got a rack-mounted NAS, and this Ugreen DH4300 Plus is going to act as our off-site backup to give that extra layer of security so that we've got double up of all of our files. And it's basically our private cloud, but faster, safer, and without any ongoing subscription fees. It's simple and easy to set up, even if you've never set up a NAS before. Simply slide the drives in, no tools needed, and connect via NFC Quick Connect, and you're set up in minutes. The built-in security manager keeps all of our data private with TÜV and Trust E certification, meaning all of our data is protected from breaches and loss. And when you're not editing, this thing doubles up as a home cinema hub. You can stream 4K movies straight to your TV, and it integrates perfectly with Home Assistant, meaning that you can get it synced in with all of your smart home stuff. So whether you're creating content, managing a business, or you want secure personal storage, the Ugreen NAS gives you all the benefits of the cloud without giving up control of your data. You can find out more using the link below. So somewhere above the ceiling is dedicated fiber, which is going to go to that desk. We've got to connect that to a patch cable, run it through another flexible conduit. So that we've got our fiber to our desk switch, because we've got a dedicated network switch with 10 gig connection for each desk. So there's one there and one there. That one's a bit longer. So I think I'm going to go with that one. I'm just going to run it along with the power. At Artisan, we're already on the crest of the wave when it comes to technology. We're always trying to keep on top of things, but things are just moving so fast right now. And the two things that everything relies on when it comes to tech is electricity and internet connection. So for those two things, this building, I've gone absolutely above and beyond for those two things, because I think those are the things that are going to give us the edge. This is our fiber keystone. So that basically allows us to plug the two fibers together above the ceiling. And then this plugs the fiber in to the 10 gig switch. It's a 10 gig optical transceiver. There we go. And 2 fibres become 1. Right, so these are our fibres. 5 dedicated fibres going out to different parts of the building. So it's really important with fibre, always number each end of the cable, because it's kind of difficult to test this stuff. It's not like copper where you can just bell it out. So they've put number 1 on there, which is perfect. I've got number 1 at the other end. And then this is just going to plug in to our little SFP port here. This is so cool. Cable spaghetti time. So we have about 100 cables coming through the ceiling right now, and they're all twisted and tangled. Some are coming through different ceiling tiles. What we've got to do is get everything through that one tile through a brush plate so that it all looks neat. And then once it's through the brush plate, we've got to get them all swooping to the same length and terminate them into these different keystones in these different lines in the patch panel. It's going to be the most chaotic cable spaghetti I've ever had to deal with. I know people say when you're looking at a consumer unit, you're replacing when you've got all the wires sticking out, it's like, oh my goodness, how do you know which one's which? Well, this is like 10 times worse. So first job is literally to lift all of these cables through so they're all coming through this one tile, and then we can thread them all through the brush plate. The black ones are for like equipment, so EV chargers, batteries, anything that we might add later. Basically, they're all kind of future-proofing. As you can see in this project, I've done a lot of future-proofing. So we're gonna have to cut the internet off, so I'm just gonna give everyone a shout to say that the internet's gonna go down for a few minutes, so it's time for a coffee break. So it's literally just this tray at the top. So this is the nice part. We use this Panduit cable comb tool to basically go along and separate all the cables out, so they keep all in the same order, and then we wrap this Velcro band around it to keep it all in order, and then it just looks absolutely lovely, and it keeps our cables all nice and organized. Well, that took longer than expected, but we finally got all of our general data cables neatly banded together, ready to put into the rack. We're on to the next set now. There's a few more bundles to do. We're going to get all these neatly dressed and bundled up, get them through the ceiling tile, and then we can start getting everything into the rack. So finally, all the cables are now organized and we can start building the rack. Get rid of as much dust as possible, because this place is, because it's been a construction site, it's amazing how much dust builds up. So these are the UniFi Wi-Fi 7 access points. They're the latest ones. I like the design of them because they've got kind of the square edge rather than the curved edge, which just looks a little bit more modern and slick. We've got a wall mounting bracket that we've got to go on there. That's going to go on the wall up here, so that we've got really good Wi-Fi in this area. And no power is needed for these. They're all powered by the switch with power over Ethernet. So I'm just going to drill a hole through, pull the patch cable through, connect it up, and then we should have Wi-Fi in here. I'm going to need a rod and a sock. These rods are just amazing. Basically, I can just pop that in there. Yeah! Easy as that. Poke the excess cable through. Lovely. That does look nice, yeah. So that says 3 on it, so we're gonna give that one a go. Looking for the blue glow. Oh, we get a blue glow. So we've got a blue light, that means it's working. Let's do a speed test and see what speed we've got. Not bad at all. So the issue we've got is that we're only getting 1 gigabit speed for the NAS, even though we should get 10 gigabit in the way that we've connected it up. So there's something not quite right. We want to do a speed test to see how quickly it writes and reads, but it's currently only writing at like 100 meg and it should be at a gig. So we're trying to figure it out, but it's a little bit beyond me, to be honest. So Ollie from Chile Electrical, massive shout out to him. He's made this rack layout for us. So we've got like every device kind of listed with all the patch panel locations, the switches, the brush modules, everything. And the basic idea is that the UPS goes right at the bottom because obviously very heavy, it's got loads of batteries in it. Then we've got the Synology NAS. Then we've got the MVR Pro, which is the network video recorder for all the CCTV cameras. We've got an AI key that's going to go in here, but we've not got the AI key because it's out of stock yet, but we've got the panel to mount it in, so we can put that in place. Then we've got a load of blanks, brush module, switch, patch panel, and that's sort of the format basically. Brush module, switch, patch panel, brush module, switch, patch panel. Another patch panel, we've got the aggregate switch, which basically joins all of the main switches together. And we've got the Dream Machine, which is the main sort of brain of the whole thing at the top. And then obviously our lease line router and stuff like that. So we basically got to kind of build everything out into position, put keystones on all of these so they're all color coded. So we know that our yellows are going to go at the top. So that's the fibers, that's the CCTV cameras. The blue ones for the Wi-Fi, red ones for general, black ones for devices. Everything's laid out. It's literally just getting all of our keystones on now, clicking them all into the patch panels, and then patching everything together. Sounds easy, right? I can't believe for once I've actually got the perfect screwdriver. These are Phillips head screws, not Posi, and I've got a Phillips screwdriver that's the perfect size. So this is the Dream Machine Pro Max. The Dream Machine part is basically the main hub for the whole installation. So your main internet feeds into it, and then out of that you can go into your various network switches and things like that. It does have 2 hard drive ports as well here, so we've used one of those temporarily for our CCTV, but ultimately we've got the MVR, which allows us to have more hard drives, so we're going to switch all the cameras over to that. It's quite handy if you've got a small CCTV system, you don't need an MVR, you can just use a Dream Machine. So we're only just getting started, but this is looking so nice. It's just such high quality stuff, this UniFi. It's just incredibly slick. It's very exciting. So this is a 24 port Pro Max PoE switch. It's basically used to plug all of your patch cables from here to your patch panel to give internet or give connectivity to every device. And because it's PoE or power over Ethernet, you can actually get the power to the device through the Ethernet connection. And these are actually PoE++, which is I think the top spec of power over Ethernet, which I guess is like more power. This is like the other sort of lovely details. So you've got the power socket there with a lovely like fiber braid, Apple-esque power cord, and then you undo that, push it in, click it in, it locks into place. And look at the quality of that power cord. It's just, every single detail of this stuff is just perfection. I was wondering where the screws were. Check this out. Look at that. That is attention to detail. The like whole story of this project is packaging, packaging, packaging. There's just so much packaging everywhere. I feel like we've probably destroyed a whole rainforest of trees just with all the packaging on this project. But if you're interested in watching me unbox everything and our whole move-in week to this Artisan HQ, I'll leave a link up here where you can watch that video. Now, if there's anything in this video that you would like to purchase, I shall leave links in the description below where you can get all of this stuff so that you don't have to do the hard work to do the research for yourself. So these first fibers are getting dressed in now, and I've left a little bit of a curve, so there's a little bit of slack above the ceiling. That means we can move the rack around a bit if we want to. We've got a little bit of play on it. Then I'm going to dress them all the way down to about here, then leave a nice curve, and then up into the switch. So we've got plenty of room to move if we need to later. For example, if we need to move the rack by about 1 meter to hoover underneath it, we can do that. And it means everything's got nice sweeps on it and is nice and neat. I'm just trying to figure out how to do the sweeps. Because these are pre-terminated fiber, they're all different lengths. So we can't just like cut them, re-terminate them into the patch rack. We've got to leave the excess slack on them. So I'm trying to figure out how to do that neatly without it taking up loads of space. And we've got a lot of room. I think I'm gonna hang them off here. Basically just gonna bundle them here and then hang them off here on a couple of cable ties neatly, and then that should hopefully do the trick. This is the moment where we get the UPS in, and it's a heavy beast. It's very unlikely, but imagine something went wrong with the solar and battery system that we've got. or we had to do some service and maintenance on it, then we lose everything. We lose our rack here because the whole grid connection goes through that inverter. So this is really just like a 30-minute UPS, just in case of any blips with that, to give us a bit of backup power. And we've got the EcoFlow batteries and the DJI batteries and all of that stuff that we can use as well. So we've got multiple layers of protection. It's just me over engineering things as usual, but it just gives me a bit more peace of mind. Look at the instruction manual for this thing. Oh, it's got a CD-ROM with it. Who even has a CD reader these days? Like, come on, I mean, the documentation must be online. Like, who uses one of those? Seriously. Oh man, look at that. That is old school as well. Look at that. What the heck is that? Remember those? Like
serial
cable. Yeah, it's a serial cable with an RJ45 plug at the end of it. So fibres are in, all of our fronts are in, so we can start to actually patch, like basically get all of these into the rack and then run everything down into the patch panels. We've decided it's going to be easier to fit the keystones into here first and then just plug the fibres in either side, then slot that in the rack, so that's what we're going to do. So we're kind of managing to keep it a little bit neat, even though these cables are a bit of a nightmare to manage because they're so long and the blue cables are not finished yet. We've got these two in, which are the sort of temp ones, and now we're ready for the yellows, the reds and the blacks, which are our final ones, which means we can really dress those nice and neatly. And what I'm tempted to do is actually bring those all down on the right hand side so we keep them separate for everything on the left, and that means we can rejig the stuff on the left later without having any issues with these. So we're using these toolless keystones. We're going to get all of the keystones on here. We're using keystones because it just makes it really nice and neat in the rack. We can put the keystones on the end of the cables, click them all into the rack, and then use patch cables between. So you got this, your basic keystone. Now these keystones can be toolless or tooled. So that is the bit you use if you're going to tool it, and you use a punch down tool. And this is what we're going to use, which enables it to be tool-less. And then I'm just going to pick a cable, put this over the end. You do need a tool actually for this, which is just to strip the outer sheath off. Basically, that's the only area where you need a tool. Strip the outer sheath. So I'm going to twist this around until the green lines up with that. Use this to just nip the ends off. Brown, orange, green, blue. So it goes like that. You're going to line it up, push that on, and literally just push it down. And this clip's closed and that just pinches it into place. And then the final touch is just a cable tie. And that's it. We're gonna get the rest done in here. I'll show you when they're all done. And just like that, a heck of a lot of keystones were made off, and a lot of coffee was drunk, and some interesting conversation was had. My fingers are like, they feel like they're raw, like the tips of my fingers are just raw. Meat fingers. Right, so literally now what we do is we just take these and we get them into some kind of semblance of like what feels right in terms of the order. This is what's so lovely about these keystones, is that once you've made them off, you just literally click in. So this is where the fun starts. We plug everything in and see if it works, starting with these lovely little fibre patch cables. So we're going to start from our switch aggregate here, and these four at the bottom are going to be patched into four of our fibres here. Let's get patching. And here we go. Look at that. That was one of the most satisfying things I've ever done in my life, honestly, just plugging in these. I mean, look at that. It's just so nice, and straight away you can see which ports are in use. And they're color coded, so I think yellow is if it's got power over Ethernet, and white if it's just a normal connection. So these yellow ones are the outside cameras. I don't really care at this point. It's nearly 10 o'clock at night. All I care about is the fact that it looks so flipping good. So this is what is gonna help us get off the cloud onto our local storage. So no more Google Drive, no more Dropbox, no more iCloud. We're gonna have our own storage with infinite capabilities. Time to unbox this bad boy. So just to be clear, I know very little about NASs. All I know is this is a 12-bay NAS. It's going to go in the rack. We're going to fill these with hard drives, and it's going to give us a ton of storage capabilities. So in here we've got 12 terabyte hard drives. I think that's 144 terabytes of total storage capacity, but we're going to be running on RAID 6, which means 2 hard drives are going to be for backup in case we have failures. So that will reduce us down, but we'll still be around the 120 terabyte mark when it comes to storage, which is enough to store all of our current footage and have a few years more worth of backup. So we've got this card which has to go into that slot, and then the NVMEs go into that. I swear I should have one of those like anti-static bracelets or something, but I'm just gonna earth myself on something. Oh, this reminds me of being a kid. I used to build PCs when I was a kid. The most exciting thing ever was building your own gaming PC. 128 megabytes of RAM, I remember that. Oh, that was like, wow, you've got 128 megabytes of RAM. So with the Synology NAS, you have to use the Synology hard drives now. That's just like a standard procedure. We've chosen this particular NAS because it's got 10 gig connection to it. The last one. So we put all the hard drives in and then realized we're supposed to screw them into the trays. So we pulled a tray out and was like, oh, the hard drive's disappeared. Where's it gone? Stuck inside. Complete amateurs doing this, absolutely winging it. So yeah, just so you know, you need to use those teeny tiny little screws to screw the hard drives down into the trays. So now they're all screwed in, we're going to get this thing booted up. So you've got 2 mains plugs for this. I'm guessing it's so that you can run it off like redundant UPSs. I'm just going to plug them both in, but we will only have 1 UPS in our rack. If you want to watch our video on this DJI Power 2000, I'll leave a link up here. Whoa, that is noisy! Flippin' heck, it's like a helicopter taking off. Good job this is not going to be in the office permanently. So we've got 10 gig Ethernet connection here in the back. So we'll connect it to that and then connect it into our network switch. Let's see if it works. So this is called DSM, this is the Synology software, and we're just setting up our admin account and password so that we can get everything all set up from a software perspective. So UniFi've got this amazing augmented reality thing. So using the camera and the phone, scanning all the switches, and then it's going to scan the layout of the rack and all the switches and patch panels and everything to see how everything's wired up.
Well, now you're the IT support guy, so you've been told that a camera's offline, and now you know which cable it is, so we don't need to even bother labeling.
So at the top here, we've got a dedicated fiber line that comes in, and then the router. So we actually have what's called a lease line here, which is like a guaranteed gigabit up and down speed internet connection. Then here we've got a UniFi Dream Machine Pro, which is kind of the brain of the operation. Then we've got this fiber aggregation, which is basically allowing us to branch out fibers to all of our other network switches. And then here we've got our patch panels with a PoE Pro network switch, another patch panel with another PoE Pro network switch, and then this is the Pro non-PoE network switch. And we segregated all our cables into color coding, so we've got our CCTV at the top, then we've got like our general data points. Here we've got our Cat6As for our Wi-Fi access points, and then we've got fiber DAC cables basically between our switches to give like a 10 gigabit connection between our switches. Then down here, we've got a slot for the AI key, and UniFi sold out of the AI key, so I'm waiting for that to arrive. We've got our UniFi NVR here, which is a network video recorder that has 7 hard drives in it with 2 redundancy drives, so that all of our video footage from our CCTV cameras is backed up for like at least a month. And then we've got our Synology NAS here with about 128 terabytes of storage. And to top it all off, our APC UPS, uninterrupted power supply, which basically gives us an added layer of backup power on top of the battery system that we've installed here, which also gives us backup power for the whole property. This is quite a system. Now you might notice that even though we've been filming this video across nearly a month now, it's still not quite finished. There's a few gaps here that I need to fill the slots, and there's a few little finishing touches for me to do, but overall it's up and running now, it's set up properly, and I'm really happy with the result. But you might wonder, why have I gone to all of this expense and all of this length to install such a pro system for us, a fairly small business? Well, let me explain. So we're a small business with only a handful of employees, and I must admit this system does seem a little bit over the top, and the amount I've spent on it, you might think, what a waste of money. But to be honest, we rely so much on our internet connection to run our business, and we're running two businesses, don't forget. The YouTube business is a media company in itself. So a lot of that stuff is really to support what I'm doing now with this YouTube channel, with the media company, keeping things running. We need fast internet. We need to be able to upload and download footage at lightning speeds. We need to be able to store all of that footage because it's really valuable. And this is really the backbone of two businesses, the electrical contracting business and the media company Artisan Motion, where all of this stuff that goes on in front of the camera and behind the camera happens. So it's for that reason that I decided to go to the extreme to make sure that everything is as bulletproof as possible, because downtime for any business costs a lot of money. So if we installed a cheap rubbish system and we had problems with it, it needed a lot of maintenance or it had a lot of ongoing maintenance costs, that would be worse in my opinion. I prefer to invest up front in a really good system that's going to be reliable, that's going to be more than what we need in order to future-proof our business, because as time goes on, businesses are only going to rely more and more on energy and connectivity, and those two things are what I've really invested heavily in this business. But let me know in the comments if you think I'm insane. So I hope you've enjoyed the big reveal of this amazing system. I've had so much fun nerding out over it all, and I've learned a ton of stuff. Let me know in the comments if you've enjoyed this video and if there's any recommendations that you'd make for stuff for me to add on to this system. And if you've enjoyed this video, we've done a whole series at our HQ build out, so there's a playlist up here that you can watch to see the full build in this project.